Today in our /malicious compliance. Why don't you share with the whole class? Background. This is years ago from my first semester in community college. My senior year of high school, I was not allowed to take math because my mom pissed off the school counselors and school district. Seriously, the situation was dumb, but her yelling at people made it worse. This sucked because I love math and knew I wanted to major in engineering once I had a good how to transfer to university. As a result, my first semester I retook algebra so I could have a refresher before continuing to higher math. Story. Due to a combination of my love of math and the fact that I had taken it before, I did well in my course with very little effort. Other students sought me out as a homework buddy, and I made a fun little group of friends. We sat together, did homework together, and shared notes. It was great, but the math teacher was old school in the worst way. This math teacher was like the most cartoon version of a math teacher ever. She wore long, black turtlenecks every day, despite our November weather being hotter than most places in July. She also would only use chalk. The classroom had 4 whiteboards, but only one chalkboard, meaning that she constantly had to erase her previous work. And while that was a little bit annoying, she was constantly shaking dust everywhere because every time she erased the board, she got chalk all over her black top. Her constant cloud of dust irritated everyone's allergies, which made her monotonous and confusing lessons even harder to pay attention to. Especially because she spent half the class getting dust off her shirt, and the other half calling out anyone who sneezed too loud for interrupting the lesson. Now, I know that while weird, this combination of behaviors was mostly just annoying, so we all just dealt with it until our group started working together on her class. Our group started working on homework and studying for tests together, which made us realize we had vastly different grades. I was pretty sure she hated me because she was constantly calling me out for talking. I try not to talk when teachers talk because I think it's rude, but I don't think it's rude to quietly share notes with my neighbor when she erases the board before I can finish taking notes. But despite constantly calling me out, she would give me full credit on a bunch of problems that she would mark my friends down for despite having the same work and answers on the page. In particular, she seemed to hate my friend who I studied the most with, which I never understood. This girl was always punctual, polite, took notes, and worked hard to get a grade while working to put herself through college. Now, my friend wasn't as good at math as me, but she was very smart and picked it up quickly when we studied together. She never copied my homework, but would ask me or a tutor if she didn't understand until she understood the concept. But despite doing problems the same way as me and getting the same answer as me, the teacher docked a bunch of points saying she didn't show enough work. She would also pull this crap on other students, though less frequently, even if they tried to talk to her and show her that every step was on the work submitted. She would still say it wasn't good enough. This kept happening until I got annoyed and started going up with my assignments and the other kids to show that we had the same steps and amount of work written down, but theirs was marked down and mine was fine. I'm pretty sure the only reason she didn't retaliate against me was because when she tried this on me at the beginning of the semester, it didn't work. I always write every single step, know algebra well enough that she couldn't convince me that I missed a step, and refused to back down until she either gave me a real reason for losing points, which was impossible. I followed the syllabus and read the school's policies on homework, or she fixed it. In the end, she did fix it. For the rest of the semester, I made it my mission to protect the class. I constantly clarified directions. I checked people's homework and let them borrow mine if they got marked down. I would question unclear problems till she relented and accepted multiple answers. And I did this all with what my husband calls polite belligerent confusion. I wasn't out to punish the teacher. I cared and wanted to make sure that we understood her expectations. Basically, I was super invested and clearly cared, but also forced her to make clear and public requirements for every assignment, which super annoyed her, but she would look like a massive jerk if she acted annoyed. Every day, she had a printed attendance sheet that we were supposed to fill out to mark attendance. She was really picky with it, so if you walked in late but didn't want to walk in the front of the class during her lesson, she wouldn't let you sign after class and mark you absent. About 4 weeks before the end of the semester, her printer broke, so she didn't have an attendance sheet. She said she would deal with it the following class. The following class, the printer was still broken. Now, most teachers would either give us free attendance or find a different way to do what they had been doing all semester. She instead decided that she would pass around notebook paper and ask us to write both dates if we were present for both classes. This would have been fine if she hadn't announced this 10 minutes before class started and before 50% of the class in the room. This included me. About 15 minutes into the lesson, the paper finally made its way back to me. While my friend had made it early enough to know what to do, I was confused because only some of the kids wrote on it before passing it on. After she explained it to me, I decided to check with the next kids to get it to make sure they knew what to do before I handed off the paper. Initially, I was trying to explain it to the next guy, figuring he could pass the message on, but instead the next 3 people were trying to listen and ask me questions. Halfway through the explanation, the next 2 people also started asking questions. At this point, to try and avoid interrupting the lesson as much as possible, I told the other 2 people that I would tell them in a minute so I didn't have to whisper shout. So I explained to my close neighbors, then moved next to the other people so I could explain it to them more covertly. 50% of the way through the second explanation, I heard that disapproving hoo-hoo noise teachers make. She then attempted to shame me for talking during the lesson in the worst way possible. "Why don't you share with the whole class?" she asked. "Thank you. That would be great," I responded, maliciously complying with her request. I then stood up, raised my voice to address the whole class, and explained the attendance sheet for everyone. I finished by profusely thanking her for letting me speak, and I finished by apologizing for interrupting because I get confused easily and didn't want that to happen to anyone else. In the end, I took less than 1 minute of class time, guaranteed that all my peers got marked as present, and super pissed her off in a super respectful way. After that class, the school suddenly a tutor to our class who attended every class. I'm not sure the tutor was there because the teacher complained or if more students complained. In the end, we were happier because we had someone who actually answered our questions after class, and I think the teacher was happy because she now didn't have to talk to us outside of class. Time. Tilder. I took a math class when I was 18 where the teacher was mean and constantly tried to fail her students. One class, she passed around an attendance paper that was unclear. I tried to subtly explain directions to the students around me. She got mad at me for talking and tried to shame me by asking me if I wanted to share with the class. I said yes and stood up and gave the class directions, then thanked her and apologized for interrupting. She was pissed. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.